what was your childhood with your, with your twin brother, and how did you, find your passion to music? Like how this one developed in you?
So, I mean, childhood was it was amazing. I mean, we had we have three older sisters,
Hmm.
a mom and dad who loved each other. It was a very loving home. Um, we had a cabin, just a tiny little one bedroom cabin in Minnesota on a lake that we'd spend our summers in. Everyone just sleeping just wherever you could
Yeah.
for the first 10 years. Yeah, 8 or 9 years. Um, we moved to a new house when we were 10.
Hmm.
And it was like, my dad's business had been doing really well. So he wanted to move to this new neighborhood and build this big, crazy house. And we did that. And our mom was very simple. She liked she was a spiritual,
Hmm.
she was an absolute angel. I mean, I couldn't come up with words
Yeah.
to even describe how wonderful and beautiful this woman was. Um, so she was like, she was the polarity of my dad. So, the balance, their parenting worked out really well,
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, when we were 12, so we moved into this new house. She thought it was a little exuberant. We didn't really need all this stuff. She just wanted to see the sunset. Uh, she died in a car accident when we were 12. So that sort of, that introduced uh, trauma and loss. And I mean, all those things that when you're that age, they're way too overwhelming for kids to deal with, especially back then when you don't have all of the uh, the psychological resources and the emotional resources that we do
Hmm.
today.
Hmm.
So that was what I think we would always credit to turning us towards the arts.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
when something like that happens, you suddenly see the world from a different perspective.
Hmm.
Like you see it, when you go to school and you've got your friends there and your classmates, and you're all experiencing the same thing from the same perspective, then suddenly you're the one there without the mom. You're the
Yeah.
one there who had this sort of tragic loss, and it just changes the way you view things, and you see the world in from a more creative perspective, you know,
Hmm.
a darker perspective perhaps, but also it shines light on the beautiful stuff. And um, so it was a confluence. To answer your question, getting into music was a confluence of that, and then the classic, having an older sister who loves Metallica. you know
Yeah. Sure.
so like we had all the Metallica records in our house by the time we were 9.
Yeah.
So yeah, our sister Paula, she was like the metal chick, like drove a
Yeah.
Mustang, and
Yeah.
and it was just so cool. Like if she would take us to school, like her friends we always looked up to them. They would have parties and they would do their bad stuff. And, Nathan and I and our friends were always just trying to like hitch onto that experience.
Yeah.
So music, then it illuminates the value of music, how it sort of timestamps, the wonderful moments in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Firstly, I need to say that I very much relate to everything that you've said, because I feel that we sort of have, similar developments in terms of our life experiences.
Yeah.
Because, I instantly connected with your story about growing up in a loving family with the words of balance between the father and the mother figure.
Yeah.
And I definitely relate with, experiencing that of a very close family member that just completely reshapes your perspective on life.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
completely changes you. And um it's, as I'm sure you know, it's something that it's very difficult to even put into words, I
Yeah,
guess.
absolutely.
But in terms of your, introduction to music and in the concept of doing this, do you have like a specific memory where, when you've heard a specific song or a moment where you just, was your brain would explode and you would be like, wow, this is something completely out of any sort of explanations. I want to do that for a living, or whatever the case might be.
Yeah. Yeah, it would probably be um, Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
What was the name of that single? Fuck you, I won't do it. You tell me.
Oh, Jesus. What was the name?
What was that called?
Killing in the name of?
Killing in the Name of.
Killing in the name of, yeah.
That one was, oh my God. When that came out, there was just one of those wonderful summer nights where you're just driving around with your friends, you're sort of aimless.
Yeah.
And it just comes on and it just hits everybody at the same time. So, the car's like, there's 10 people in the car, and
Yeah.
for some reason, everyone's chattering, but for some reason, everyone's tuned into the song at this point, and it just gets louder and louder and louder.
Yeah.
And then, everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that just, what a moment. Another one was Harvester of Sorrow from Metallica. Listening to that on the way to school, we would pick up our best friend Tabucky. Like my sister Paula would drive us, and we'd pick him up. So you had, Paula and one of her friends in the front, and the three of us in the back, listening to Harvester of Sorrow. That was a beautiful moment.
Yeah, it does sound so.